Mr. Investor Lot, welcome back to the channel. We've got some huge breaking news here. So these guys just done a little secret interview back on February 12th and they've just released it now. So we're going to be talking about Yoav Stern's comments during this interview. I'm going to be breaking it down for you piece by piece. He's a magic man, Yoav. So today we're going to be discussing everything that came across in this interview. They've just released it, so it's fresh out the kitchen for you guys. And they're talking about their mergers and acquisition strategy updates and all these other matters, including revenue models, and they also spoke about a neural network for mass production. Overall, I've just watched through this interview and I'm super excited. You know, I cover stocks like BNGO, I cover NNDM, and these companies, I believe in them long term. I believe in the long-term success of these companies. Just click the join button up here. You can join any level. I also have a Patreon page here, so if you'd like to support me as a creator, you can also join there. We're going to be scaling up production. Hopefully I'm going to be producing a lot more videos, and I'm also creating a Discord group so we can talk growth stocks. And if you want 2 free stocks valued up to $1,850, look in my link below. Deposit $100 and you should get 2 free stocks. If you deposit $100, Weeble said that there is a 100% chance of getting 2 free stocks. You have a chance to get Facebook, Starbucks, Snapchat, Google, Procter, even Ketchup. Baby, I'm super excited. I'm getting into the content now. Thank you very much for always supporting me, and please hit that like and click the subscribe button. Join the family, hit the notification bell as well so you never miss these kinds of videos. Okay, first things first, they talk about acquisition strategy. So the first question that came through was, what is your acquisition strategy?
Okay, since we actually, you're right, having that, and we've developed this over the last 4 or 5 months, since we started to raise money and since we started to feel that the market and our investors are really believing in the concept and the vision we're having, we hired Needham and another European bank, and we looked at 2 types of acquisitions, which by now, through searching, I think I scanned over 85 companies, which is a huge amount. We have serious candidates.
Okay, so we spoke about a type A company and a type B company. So here he will talk about the first type of company, type A, is large companies in the high-end PCB industry. They want to buy.
Type A is large companies relatively in the traditional PCB industry, but in a very, very high end of this industry, which are still on the ground in Europe and the United States and are serving the defense community, the medical community, the aviation community, the aerospace community. It's exactly corresponding to our target market. And those companies, there's about, I would say, 15 of them in the United States, 15 in Europe, because the rest of all this industry went to China. Those companies are targets for type A. The reason we want to buy in Europe and the United States is we're actually buying an existing relationship with customers, distribution channels, and eventually we're going to populate all those with our technology.
So next he talks about type B, which is smaller companies with innovative tech. So he wants to buy it instead of risking money on research and development.
Type B there's many more companies, but they're smaller. And those are companies that have very, very promising technologies. Some of them are aiming at the same thing we are aiming, trying to compete, but they are coming from different angles. And we see in a vision of 2-3 years from now that those technologies will be integrated into our product offering. So we prefer to buy it now rather than to risk an R&D.
So this is the number of companies Yoav is talking about.
We're looking at about, I would say, 3 or 4 companies like this in Israel, 3 or 4 in Europe, and 4 or 5 in the United States. That's the type B.
So for both type A and type B companies, Yoav explains what the kind of revenue's like. So first he's going to talk about the large company's revenue.
The type A revenue is between $50 to $200 million per company. The type B companies are revenue between $2 million to $50 million each company.
So next they're going to talk about using this money. Are they going to buy in all cash, or they're going to mix in some equity as well?
Okay, and will you use all cash or you put some equity in these deals?
No, I would prefer not to use all cash. The fact that I have cash gets me in the door very fast. These people pay attention immediately. The fact that I don't want to pay cash in some cases because I want the management of the company to stay in, I want the management to be compensated and based on the upside. So I want to combine cash and shares.
So Yoav then discussed about this kind of SPAC tsunami craze and how it's been affecting him and all the valuations of companies. He also said that he's not a rat and he's not in the rat race.
And also to get at the right price. I will add one more thing that people should know, I'm sure they know. The SPAC, call it tsunami, with 200 SPACs running around the market, 95% in the United States, if not 100, caused the prices in the United States to soar because those SPACs are totally not sophisticated as much as paying the right prices, especially not when they get to the last leg of their career, and their career is usually 2 years. That's when they start to raise prices. So I'm very careful not to be pulled into this ridiculous race of a rat race of paying too much. It's a rat race, and even if you win, you're still being a rat. So I'm not going to pay an overpay. We are really carefully choosing the acquisitions, and therefore looking at Europe, there it doesn't happen because there's no SPACs campaigns there.
The next thing Yoav spoke about was his proudest accomplishments, his proudest moments in 2020. He talks of a revenue surprise. He talks about C19 being around and still inhibiting sales.
Well, the first, and I would say, important accomplishment, which was surprised me to be very frank with you, is I expected the revenue to be really low because people would not buy machines during the time when Corona is there, and Corona, by the way, is still there. They can't buy machines, and it's understandable. Capital gains are limited, if not zeroed out. So I thought that the revenue will go really, really low. We ended up with revenue half of last year without selling machines almost. We sell machines in the last quarter because things in Pacific Rim started to kind of come up.
So he started to talk about a lot of ink sales, a lot of consumables being sold.
So without selling machines in a big way, we sold a lot. That actually proves very important concept in our business model. First of all, our customers are buying material, which means they're using the machine, consumables, the razor blade, the razor and the razor blade. Secondly, by now, 70% of our customers upgraded their old machine into the new machine that came up end of 2019, which means they like the machines, they like the technology, they believe it enough to pay more and to get a machine that's 24/7. So that, I think, is a very important achievement and proof of concept. It's really proving that we're in the right direction. Secondly, we started Nano Services, which means we are now giving services to our customers. Those who don't buy the machines because they need to wait until Mr. CFO will release their budgets are saying, okay, guys, so at least you do for us what we would have done with your machines. And we'll pay you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 per round of prototyping. And the revenue is growing from that services. We call it Nano Services. But the revenue is not the point here. The point is that our customers keep in touch with us. We keep in touch with them. And after spending $50,000 or $40,000 next year, when the Corona will be over, it'll be a slingshot effect when they'll buy the machines because by then they know the technology.
Okay, just to come over that's 70% of customers upgraded to the new machines. They've also got the Nano Services that they launched, and they said they're constantly generating some income because some customers were afraid and they weren't able to commit to machines straight away because of the pandemic. So they said, basically run this file for us, print these prototypes for us, and it's just a massive growing revenue. So he said there's going to be a slingshot effect. Next, they discuss Masters and Acquisition. They haven't announced it yet, but they may be in the final stages. I think it's just around the corner. It's just on the horizon because of the way he describes it. They've done a lot of research and they carefully considered who they're going to purchase.
So that's the second achievement. Third achievement is what we described with the M&A. We still didn't announce one, but we went far away in scanning the horizon, understanding who is playing, what are the prices. A lot of work was done and a lot of effort were invested, and I think we reached a very, very important point.
So here he states that one of the best achievements they've done is they have better relationships with customers. So they're talking about more business with industrial and military customers, and he states that revenues will skyrocket, baby.
We have developed a relationship with customers, the existing customers that end up with new applications being developed, and we're really looking forward that as we advance during this year with our material spec and are getting better, closer to industrial and military spec, we are going to end up with those achievements surfing. And once the corona clears the way, revenue is going to start to rocket up.
Yoav then decides to discuss future plans, milestones, including a new Dragonfly model. Yes, this should be released round about mid-2021, he said.
Well, I spoke about a few of them. We hope to come up to finish 2021. First of all, in the middle of the year, to release the new model of our Dragonfly machine. We have the name already. We have the specs. Obviously, it's practically in alpha, close to beta sites now, in the middle of alpha site actually. So we will release the information about the new name, and when the time for release, which will be mid-year. I want to release it when there'll be somebody to buy it, because again, people have to come back from Corona and start to be back in the offices. But that's the first goal.
He also spoke about new materials coming, so this is super, super exciting. As we know, the nano silver particle ink is extremely innovative, but I wonder what new materials they're going to be printing with soon.
Secondly, our achievements on materials are really impressive, and we want to be able to reach a milestone that we can announce toward the end of the year on new materials that we're going to come up with.
Then he spoke about, the difference between the old systems and the new current systems.
Okay, the current systems we have now are systems for prototyping and proof of concept. The new system that will come up at the beginning of 2022 is going to be still prototyping, but getting into early production, first runs of production. In a by the way manner, I can tell you that even existing machines, some of our customers, specifically in defense, are using it for production as well.
Oh my gosh, he's talking about production. Are we talking about mass production, early production right now? But he was saying military and defense are using the Dragonfly for production. It wasn't designed for production, but it's ended up being used for production. Very exciting.
Certain things in production cannot be done unless it's being done by our machine. So they're using it for production, but it was not built for production. It was built for prototyping. So the new machine will be more for early prototyping and beginning of production.
Then Yoav went on to talk about advanced new applications or technologies that his systems could be used for.
Yes. I'll give you examples. We are starting to climb up to higher altitudes, which means 3 dimensions is 3 axes, right? X, Y, and Z. So we are climbing up on the Z-axis. Climbing up on the Z-axis means we are actually starting to build printed circuit boards that look more like printed circuit cubes. Now, in printed circuit cubes, you can actually put inside the cube while you're printing, you can put components. And you put components in, and then you continue to print above them. And you put components in, and you continue to print. You end up being, instead of taking a very large real estate of printed circuit board, you take a much smaller space of a printed circuit cube. That's a very, very advanced. Every millimeter, 2 millimeters, we go up in altitude is an achievement, and we expect to show during this year a very serious advancement on that field.
So then Yoav and Dave were talking about this being the only technology in the world that can 3D print high-performance electrical components.
To be clear for our viewers, this is the only technology in the world that can take a digital file and print with 3D a high-performance electronic part. And many of these parts are multi-layered, 5, 6 layers, correct?
Oh, many of them are 30, 20, 30 layers even. The machine, our machine, the way it prints, each layer is 1.5 microns. So even if the machine ends up printing 3 layers in the PCB, it will print the 3 layers by doing 4,000 times going over them until they get them. So
he then stated that they are super cost effective and unique, and it doesn't matter how many layers you stack up, it's always going to be the same price because you're just paying for the ink.
The machine doesn't know if it's printing 2 layers or 25 layers. It prints the same way. It just separately layers according to the digital file. So it's a very, very unique technology that way, and it enables us to be very flexible on how many layers we put. It doesn't add money or cost if we print more layers. In a printed circuit board, regular one, if you have a 2 layers board, it's very inexpensive. Uncomplicated. If you have 40 layers board, very complicated. For our machine, it doesn't know. It can print 2 or 20, same price.
So the business model is actually insane. Yoav here was talking about so many different types of revenue sources.
Fascinating. I love your business model because you sell the technology itself, the system, you have the inks that you sell as a recurring revenue source, and you have the maintenance contracts.
Absolutely. We have three, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4 sources of revenue right now. The first one is the machines sale, which of course during 2020 was lower. By the way, again, in the last quarter, the Pacific Rim bought 3 machines, but that's the first layer. Then above that comes the consumables. We sell like HP. We sell the ink for the machines. In our case, only us having the 2 types of inks that work together, so it's kind of captive. Above that, we sell the contract, the maintenance contracts on an annual basis other than the first year, which is a warranty. So that's the third one. And then above that, we have now Nanos, which is Nano Services, which is we sell services of printing, prototyping to our customers. So it's 4 sources of revenue.
So lastly, this was really exciting. What they did was they asked Yoav, can you explain the vision? Why should people invest in NNDM? And he spoke about, neural network of machines, mass production, reshoring the industry into the West.
Okay, now you're asking me serious questions about vision. I'll take you one step further. Our machine will end up being just a node in a network of machines. This is not about a machine that makes PCBs. This is going to be like the PC. The personal computer in the beginning of the 80s was a unit on your desk. Then eventually it was part of a network. It was called local area networks. Remember, novel networks. And then it became part of a wide area network. And then it became part of the internet. Today, when you look at a computer, you don't even know if it's a computer or not. This is just your gate to speak with the world of the internet. Our machine is going to be a node in a network of digital fabrication network. It'll be a neural network where the inventory will be kept digitally in the brain and will be sent down to the different fabrication center and will be printed out on the machines. But the machine is going to be a smart node in a network which has a brain. And it's going to be environmental friendly because our machine, unlike the $65 billion PCB industry, which is full of chemicals and dirt and non-reusable materials, our machine comes with 2 cartridges. You can have 20 of like this on the shelf with 1 year shelf life, and you put the cartridge. There's no waste. Once it's finished, you take the cartridge out, and you're in a clean environment. So reshoring this industry from the Far East onto the land of the United States and Europe, and therefore shortening the supply chain, is also enabled by the fact that it's becoming a clean industry through using machines like ours.
Oh my goodness, what an interview. So yeah, this is the kinds of things we need to hear as shareholders. We really need to see what the vision is, what the long-term future is. And we know the C19 virus is currently, it's been wreaking havoc on the world. It's been a crazy pandemic. But what will it look like for the future when these guys actually manage to close the sales in their pipeline, when we get the merger and acquisition, when they manage to force the industry to start using their machine by sneaking it in, when they acquire that other company and acquire all of those customers already. Also, the research and development, they've got a new Dragonfly Pro coming out. What's it going to be? The Dragonfly Pro. So in the pre-market value, you can see here that we're $10.50 up. Well, our all-time high was $17.89. And we've had this crazy run up. And then obviously people have said this is like a market correction that's happened, as well as countless share offerings we've had. So I think there's a lot of different catalysts he's mentioned here that could be coming back, like sales in the pipeline. We could get the financials, the full year's financials before Thursday, the market opening. We've got the merger and acquisition on the cards as well. And for me, I'm going to be holding this long term. Always remember, none of this is financial advice and it's for entertainment only. Thank you very much for always watching and supporting me. And if you're able to join my channel memberships, it's only 99 cents a month. It helps me to pay my brother to edit these videos to make great content for you guys. But if you're unable to join channel memberships or my Patreon, just so you hitting like and clicking subscribe on this video and hitting the notification bell, that means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Lastly, if you could drop me a comment below, just tell me your thoughts. Tell me if you found any research on NNDM. How are you feeling as an investor? What are your average prices? Let me know. Mr. Investor Lot, over and out, baby.